Let's talk about graphics cards. We all like graphics cards, don't we? Especially the 40 series and the 7000 series from AMD. Unfortunately, a lot of those don't really live up to the hype. And to be honest with you, other than the new technology which they have, which is actually really good by the way, there's not really much going for them. So we're going to be looking at some older, specifically an older Pascal card from the 10 series era. And we have managed to get ourselves, just hold on one second. So we have managed to get ourselves an MSI graphics card. This is a 1080. More specifically, this is a GeForce GTX 1080 Gaming X 8 gig variant. Now, yeah, 8 gig, I know, may not sound all that impressive these days when there are 16 and 24 and 12 gig graphics cards out there. But from what we're going from, which is, you've probably seen it in previous videos, and I'll show you in a minute. What we're going from and what we're going to is going to be a huge difference for this particular build. So the main premise of this whole video is actually to show you that you don't need to spend on a brand new shiny graphics card. If you've got an older system or even a more modern system, you can still put a graphics card in it that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. So that's basically what we're going to show you today. We're going to show you what this thing looks like and how it performs on a more modern system. So let's get going, shall we? Before we get into the benchmarks for the 1080, I'm going to just give you my sort of what we experienced buying this card secondhand and how long it actually took. So Emma, who's having the graphics card replaced, and you've seen her PC many times, it's the pink and rose gold one, so go and watch the video of that. I think there's 2 videos on that one. She had a 1050 Ti, no, not even a Ti actually, just a 1050 in there with 2 gig of RAM. And we've shown that many times on this channel on how really rubbish it is for games. To be honest with you, 2 gig of RAM these days is just not enough. That is for sure. So our journey to getting one of these wasn't overly long, but it was rather frustrating, to say the least. The amount of people selling graphics cards on things like Facebook Marketplace, which is where we managed to pick this one up, luckily from a decent person, and we'll go into that a bit later, was just extreme. The prices, some of the prices that people are asking for these old graphics cards are just ridiculous, to be honest with you. And I don't think they really realize how much they're actually worth in today's market. Now, of course, if someone buys it, then great, they make a bit more money, and that's what it is worth to the person selling the graphics card in this question. But it's really frustrating, especially when you're trying to buy one, because half the time people don't respond to you, or the item is still on there and it's been sold for weeks already, or if you want to say offer a little bit off, sometimes it's a good thing to offer some money off. I don't tend to do that personally. If the price is already good, I will just go in with whatever they're asking for. But that's not to say that you can't do that if you want to knock them down a little bit. It's just so frustrating that it takes so long for people to get back to you on Facebook Marketplace that it drags out the whole process. Now, I know there are other places where you can go. You can obviously go on eBay, and prices, to be honest with you, aren't much better there either. In fact, they're probably worse for some secondhand graphics cards. So you really got to watch the whole kind of landscape of secondhand graphics card market to be able to get a good deal. Now, we actually bought 1070, which is here. This is the Asus Dual 1070 OC edition. It's a really nice looking card actually. It came out in 2017. And it is dead. It does not work. There is no video output, and I broke one of the fans by accident with my finger, of all things. But we bought it knowing that it probably didn't work. It said in the description that it was not working, but you know, I paid 20 Great British pounds for this, with the view that I might potentially be able to fix it if possible, or even if the person using this card had some kind of issue elsewhere in the system and they weren't able to get this working. Sometimes it's worth taking a punt on things like that, but most of the time it's probably not a good idea. Now, I had a little bit of history on this one, not much really. He just said he was playing games and it just stopped working. The next time he went to use it, just fans 100% and no output on the GPU, which is exactly what we get. Now, we've taken it apart, cleaned it and all sorts of stuff, so it's got to be a hardware issue on this one. That might be another video, maybe. I might try repairing something on it. I don't really know what I'm going to do with that yet, so I'm not very good with electronics, so we'll see how that goes. So the 1080, which is currently in the machine, you'll see it in a minute, we'll bring it in, cost me 80 Great British pounds. 80, that's not a lot. Now, it is a 10th gen NVIDIA GPU. It's not even the TI version, it's just a 1080. But I thought that was quite a good deal. Now, comment down below if you think that 80 Great British pounds is a good deal. I have seen that card go for between 150 and 200 even now. So I thought that 80 was quite good. So I got it and we have it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get rid of this thing from our previous video because I haven't cleared it out yet. And it's going to magically transform into a pink, rose gold and white computer. Just by the flick of my thumb, Thanos style. Here we go, this is it. Wasn't that transformation amazing? Absolutely magical special effects. Yeah, all right, so here we are, white and rose gold build. Go and check that out in the thingy down below. If I remember to put it in the description, I'll put links to it if you're interested in this build. It's actually quite a cool video. I quite like that one. So we are going to test some games in, well, obviously 1080p, 1440p, and we're even going to go up to 8K because we can. This monitor actually does 4K at 60 FPS. So at least we got a good variation that we can show you. Obviously you're going to see it a bit weirdly through the camera, but we'll do the best we can and we'll show you some charts at the end. So the system we're using currently, it's not top end or anything, it's a modest system. It's quite a cheap system by today's standard. It is a AMD 3600. It's not an X or anything like that. It's just your standard 3600, 6-core CPU. So that's what we're using for this. Okay, so the first game I think we're going to go into is, should we try Red Dead? Because we can change settings in that now. That's one thing, in Red Dead, if you've got a 2 gig card, I'm not sure if we've shown this in previous videos, but you cannot change a thing. It basically doesn't have enough VRAM to do anything on it, and it kind of just sets it at 720p, I think. It looks god awful. And you can't even decrease or increase or anything with any of the graphical settings in Red Dead. So going from that to this is just an incredible jump up. So let's get into Red Dead. While we're waiting for Red Dead Redemption 2, that is, not Red Dead. That's a different game altogether. We don't actually have that one. Yeah, Ryzen 3600, 16 gig of DDR4, 3600 I think this one is. And then we've got the Gigabyte, which is actually behind me, the Gigabyte B550M Aorus Pro, which was on the list of those issues that recently came out with Gigabyte motherboards, if you've been following that story. But that's been BIOS updated, so it's no longer an issue. It won't affect gameplay in any way. So Red Dead 2, let's load that up. Red Dead 2 takes a little while to load, so we're going to let that load. All right, so we managed to make it into the game. It took a while to load. But let's just go through some of the quick settings that we've got. So for some reason, although this is a 4K monitor and the desktop runs in 4K, the game only runs, or Red Dead Redemption 2 only runs at 2560 by 1440p. So that must be, I'm guessing, the maximum that it can run at. I don't know. It's a bit weird. Since I've not tried it on another monitor, I don't know if that's normal or not. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you've had that issue on your 4K display if you run it on there as well. We're only using about 4.8 gig of memory here. Hopefully you can see that up there. 59, well, about 60%, between 50 and 60% on the GPU at the minute, but we are in the menus. Pretty much everything is on ultra or medium for most things. So we've got a couple of highs there. We've got AMD FSR 2.0 is off. So it's not using any of the trickery for that side of it. And as you can see there, we've got advanced graphics settings. Most of that is on high. We're using Vulkan Graphics API for this. So yeah, none of these settings were available on the 1050 because it just didn't have enough VRAM. So let's get into the game and hopefully you can see what it runs like. So 1440p this is running at. Another thing, I can't show you the FPS, which is really, really frustrating. For some reason, it just will not display the FPS on the game. So hopefully you're just gonna have to pick this up from the video. And if I can find out what the FPS actually is, I'll post that on the screen. Now, I can tell it's not running at 60 FPS. You can just tell when you're panning around. It's not a smooth 60 FPS. I reckon it's probably 30s, in the 30s or something like that, but it is absolutely fine. Oh hello, what happened? I think I just walked into a trap or something in a bush. Is that a thing? Can you put traps in the bushes in this game? I've been poisoned. Oh, did I just get eaten or stung by a snake or something? Are there snakes in this game?
There must be. It's like cowboys, you know?
I don't like snakes. Anyway, just pottering around with GPU's only at 74% and 20%, I need to sort these out, 20% on the CPU, so we're definitely not CPU bottlenecked in this game at 1440p. Now we can tweak the settings a little bit to make it super smooth, but and we may do that, but yeah, 1440p on a 1080. Oh God. And I can see quite far, the draw distance is set quite high, so, and it looks amazing. It absolutely looks amazing. It's really, really good. But I think we can improve on the smoothness. So what we're going to do, we're going to enable FSR 2.0 and see if that makes any difference whatsoever. Let's just go down here and turn that on to balanced. I think that's probably a good idea. Apply that. Hopefully we don't need to restart. Definitely doesn't seem to look any different to me anyway. Let's just run around again. I don't feel any difference, to be honest with you. Still the same, about 60 or so percent GPU usage. Let's go back where I was a minute ago. 150 watts, or 120 to, went up to 170 watts there. I mean, it might be a little bit smoother. I don't notice any difference really. It looks, graphically, it looks absolutely fine. Yeah, don't notice any difference in AMD FSR 2.0. So it's not something we've really played around with before. So maybe we can do something on that a little bit later. But yeah, anyway, maybe it doesn't work on this card. I don't know. Like I say, never tested it. But anyway, that is Red Dead Redemption 2. And I reckon that's probably about 30, 35 to 40 FPS. But we'll confirm and overlay that in charts later on in the video. So yeah, let's move on to the next game. So technically, this is what it used to look like on your 1050. So smooth at this resolution. So yeah, we got into GTA, as you can see now, and this is what it pretty much looked like. Now you're not going to see it properly on camera, I know that, but we're running at, what is it, what resolution? I don't even know what resolution. Basically the settings that the 1050 was on. This game doesn't auto detect your card and then increase the graphics settings. It just leaves it on whatever you had it on before. So DirectX 11, 1680 by 1050, because that's the size. Why would it run at 10? Well, I don't know. Maybe that's the other card that was in there. So we're going to max this out to, let's go, how high as it will go? 4K. I don't think I've ever seen GTA in 4K. 99% GPU usage. 189, 190 watts there. I think this is a 260 watt card, so there's definitely room to get more performance out of this. There's more power available there. Just talk about power quickly. The power supply in this is a 550 watt power supply, I think. And I'm not entirely sure what the minimum spec for The minimum recommended power supply is for the 1080. I think it might actually be at 600 watts, so that could be a limiting factor, especially when we're running at these resolutions. But it seems to be okay, and going from obviously what she had before is a huge difference anyway, so really not going to make much difference there. It's only using 3.3 gig out of the 8 gig of RAM in this graphics card, so that's interesting. Why would that be? I don't know, let's just put everything to high or ultra. See how it runs. 99% on the GPU, we're running at 80 frames per second at the minute. Okay, oh, that's better. I thought the frame times went down to about 2 milliseconds there. I thought, blimey, that's really low frame times there for 4K on a 1080. I'll tell you what, this is...
I have a card there.
Other than some VSync issues, we've got some tearing because I've got VSync off at the minute. Let's take this car here, I guess. 68 FPS at the moment. Let's just drive around and see what we get. Totally not stealing this car right now. Damn, you're gonna have fun playing this in 4K, Emma. Oh, okay, it doesn't look great when I'm turning around like that. Like, you see this juddery effect? I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera. Juddery effect going on as we're turning around like that. See that? That's really quite bad. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn VSync on. See if we can get rid of that. Yeah, that's a bit better, but it's locking it at 50 FPS because, whoa! I think the car's died. I think the car's actually died. Anyway, I just got blew up because GTA Online. But walking around, locking it at 50 is probably not a bad thing actually, because it's really, really super smooth. I thought this was a 4K 60, but apparently it's 4K 50. Ever heard of that before? Super smooth though. Even at 50. Jesus, what is going on up there? I don't know if I want to be a part of this. I'm running away. Oh, there's a bike here. Go away. Go. What the hell? Oh, I think there's modders in this. There's definitely something going on. Because that bike was doing a dance. And that might be why everything just suddenly blew up. Because that car is on its end. That's not normal. All right, anyway, we've got the fastest vehicle in GTA. Yeah, I definitely think...
Yeah, that's a modder.
I definitely think there's modders. Welcome to GTA Online, by the way. Anyway, we were getting pretty good frames there. I can't tell you what the average is. This is just instant frames. For some reason that isn't showing, and I can't do the 0.1 and 1% lows either because they're not showing. I have to figure that out another time. But really, really smooth. And I think, yeah, I think it's definite improvement from what you had before. We could probably lower the resolution and up the settings even more, but actually it's really good. Really, really good. We're just locked at 50 for some reason. Anyway, on to the next one. So just to verify that I'm not going completely crazy, the monitor is actually, hang on a minute, we're running, what resolution are we in? We're not running in 4K. It's a 1440p. Your desktop, holy moly, that's 4K. So it definitely does 4K 60. I can't even read that. How on earth can you read that? I think that's probably why we set it to 1440p instead of 4K. That's tiny, and yeah, we'll probably change that back, but it definitely does, and I've just verified, actually it does 4K 60. So for some reason, GTA won't let us do 60, it just did 50. I don't know why, but it was so super smooth, still super smooth. Let's get the words out right, shall we? And we're going to play Back 4 Blood now, just see how that one performs. So let's get that loaded up. All right, so here we are in Back 4 Blood, and we're just going to do a quick game. I think I go here, do I? And we're going to do quick play because we just want to do a quick play. We're just going to join in someone's game. I don't know whose. Is that it? Do I?
No, you just wait.
Just wait. Oh, now we just got to wait. All right, Back 4 Blood is in, and as you can see, we've got a bot running around playing. Now we're running at 4K as we just said. I think most settings are set too high, but we'll have a quick look in a minute. But we seem to be locked at 60, but I think again that might be because VSync is on, because we were getting tearing on the screen. So, but I'm pretty certain this thing can push more. We're using over 200 watts now in this game, And the GPU is of course maxed out because it's because of the resolution that we're running at in 4K. If we were to run this at a lower resolution, then the CPU would come into play a bit more. But as you can see, well, hopefully you can see about 20% on the CPU, so it really isn't actually doing much in this game. But gameplay wise, really super smooth. And as I said, the bot is taking over. This is an actual live online game. I didn't want to ruin the game, so I'm just letting the bot ruin the game for them. So yeah, that's why it says press space to take over bot. Oh God, they're coming upstairs. No, they're not, they're on the wall. It's pretty fucking smooth though, isn't it? I'm gonna go to the settings a minute while can we do that? So graphics, I don't know if I can change some of this. Fidelity effects we've got on. Right, so motion blur is off. I always turn motion blur off on every single game because it's freaking awful. So there's that. Custom quality settings. Well, actually the quality set is set to ultra. Now we've got custom, but we don't need to do that because everything is set to ultra, and I can confirm that by going custom quality settings in the game and just verifying that everything here is set to ultra, and it is, so that's good. So yeah, we can't really get any higher. Now I can turn, where is it? VSync off if I can find it. Where's VSync? And then we'll see what we actually will get in the way of frames. So there, we've just turned VSync off and we've jumped up to, what was it, 80 frames per second there. But, okay, well, it's loading into the menu or something now, but at the risk of getting screen tearing on the screen when you're moving about and panning like we did in GTA a minute ago. So it's a trade-off. I'd rather have solid FPS, even capped at 60, than tearing on the screen that kind of looks rubbish, to be honest. Sorry guys, I'm going to completely ruin your game. I'm just picking any old card for this game. Let's do health. Let's do health. Let's do health. Lots of health. Oh, it's put me in the game. Oh no, I actually got to play now. So just moving around in here, we're getting about 70, yeah, about 80 FPS. Oh my, this mouse is really not great for gaming, that's for sure. Yeah, so the screen tearing thing, we're getting it here. I don't know whether, if I move really quickly, you can see the wall isn't solid, it's kind of rippling, especially over here. Yeah, if you can deal with that, then you can get higher frame rates, but I think I would rather have the lower frame rates and a really smooth gameplay experience. But, you know, you do whatever fits. We're going to turn it on, but for now, I think it's down to the last game. So Forza Horizon 5 now, and we come into the game and everything is set as it was on the 1050, so everything looks really fuzzy and blurry and not generally that great, but we are getting 177 FPS and a 6 millisecond frame times there, which is quite good. 92% on the GPU, but that's not good enough. We want to go higher than that. Now we can. So let's bump the graphics settings up as well, as much as we can go. So preset is actually on low, so we're going to put that to ultra. Extreme. Should we try extreme? Yeah, let's try extreme. I've just had the nod. So we're going to go with extreme. Oh, restart. We'll be right back. 4K, let's just do it. So we're going to whack this up to 4K after restarting, after setting everything to extreme in the graphics settings. VSync is going to be off. Motion blur is definitely off. We're going to show FPS, but I guess we don't really need that, so let's turn that off now. Anti-aliasing, oh hello, what's going on there? AMD FSR 2.2 it supports. So that is set to, where is it, balanced. And that is that. Let's see how it goes. Oh, it's gone down to 36 FPS now. But that sounds low, but don't forget, we're running at 4K on a 1080. 48 FPS at the minute. That's still a good frame rate. It's playable, definitely playable. I'm not going to lie, performance-wise, we're around 40, 43 FPS at the moment, 24 millisecond frame time, and I can't drive. It's very like Red Dead Redemption 2. That's what it kind of feels like to me, performance-wise. Now, don't forget, we are running at 4K. We can drop that down to like 40p or something like that, and we'll show all that in the charts later on, but I definitely feel there's a little bit of like input delay running at resolution. So that's something to consider as well when you're running at higher resolutions, is the input delay. A little bit of stuttering going on there. But it's stable until I crash into the tree. Stable 40, yeah, basically 43 FPS there. And using almost all the RAM on the graphics card, 7.6 gig out of the 8 gig in total, 12 gig of system RAM, and just about 200 watts of power. Yeah, so AMD FSR is definitely on now, and 39 I think I saw there FPS wise as we come into this town. Definitely not super smooth as we go through some of this, and I think VSync is off at the moment, so that's why we're getting a little bit of the stuttering as we're rotating around, as we're turning around bends and stuff like that. But you can definitely improve that by turning VSync on, as we saw earlier in the other games. So changing the resolution down to 1440p, we're now capped at 60. We weren't even getting anywhere near 60. We were getting what, 40, 43 or something like that. We're now at 60. You can definitely feel the difference. It's dropped down a bit there, but yeah, probably about 10 frames faster. Definitely feels a lot smoother, which is what you want when you're racing around and doing all sorts of weird stuff in this game. Definitely smoother. So 4040p I think is definitely where, for this game, this card should be, or this game should be set with this card. Definitely a 1440p game. And you can tweak the graphics and make them look a bit smoother and stuff, but I think actually overall that looks not too bad. We're not getting the tearing in the distance anymore that we were getting. 4K is definitely just a bit too much for this game. So we've taken the GPU out, and here it is. I can't believe how big the 1080 is. I just saw it in a full, when I picked it up from the guy we bought it off of, who, by the way, was a really stand-up guy. He invited us in, he showed us his sim rig, which is what this came out of. He had this running in SLI configuration. Now SLI is pretty much dead at this point. Not many games, if any, support it anymore, apart from older ones. He actually said that for his sim rig, or his system, the performance of the 4070 Ti wasn't much different than two 1080s. That's just crazy. Now I can't confirm that because I didn't see it running, but he had a really top-notch setup, and I was very jealous, and it made me want to get sim rig again, but I don't have the room for it, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But anyway, this is the MSI Gaming X 8 gig variant, and I have to say I'm not a great fan of the red and black there. Now I know a lot of people are, and that's obviously why they made the card. I mean, they wouldn't do it if no one liked it, would they? But it was in really good condition. The only issue that I had with this one was not really an issue, is that the card itself smells of cigarette smoke. And that's one thing that you need to consider, that when you're buying it from, is it in a smoky environment? Because you could really smell it on this thing. And yeah, we're going to be stripping this card down, and I may do that in another short video, just showing it stripped down and what a secondhand card looks like underneath. Because believe it or not, let me get closer, this card has never been opened, or at least it doesn't look like it's been opened. The seal is still on, that hasn't been breached there, although someone could effectively put a new one on it, I guess, but that's not been opened at all. It just doesn't look like anyone's been in it. It looks like apart from being smelly of smoke, it was in very good condition actually. And something that I don't normally see on a lot of second-hand cards is the covers that go on these. People always lose them. This had every single cover for every single port on this thing. Free display port, I don't know which version of display port, free display port, one there and one at the top, and then HDMI, and then a DVI because it is an older card. They still used those back then. But it's a really strong, rigid card, metal frame going all the way around it pretty much. Heat sinks on almost every single component on this thing. As I said, I think it's a 260 watt card if you start overclocking it, which we didn't really get into today. Maybe that's for a future video, I don't know. But proper metal back, I think that's metal, yeah, well, it might be plastic actually, but back plate on there as well. It's just a good solid card actually, really well built. I just don't like the colour of it. So there we go, that is our buying experience of the 1080 8GB version, and just showing you that if you've bought like even a pre-built system that has, I mean, it doesn't have to be AMD, any CPU, any modern CPU, and you can't afford to get a graphics card or a brand new one, you should seriously check out the second-hand market. But obviously just be careful and go and see the card. Buying it and getting it delivered is a whole different video in itself, and there's a lot of other issues there as well. So always keep yourself protected when you buy a second-hand one if you're getting it posted, but if you can, go and pick it up. I actually drove an hour and a half to go and get this thing for the price. I thought it was a good price, as I said earlier, 80 Great British pounds for this. So I thought, well, let's go the hour and a half to go and get it. And I think it was well worth it because we got a good card. It seems like it's in good nick. I don't think it's been mined on or anything like that, other than the smell, and we're going to clean that out later on. We got a good card. I think we were lucky on this one, not so much on the 1070 that we showed you earlier. Anyway guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. Hopefully this was useful to you in showing that you can still play games on an older card. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. We'll see you soon.